and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and today I'm going to an old salmonella video. It's been a really long time, and it's been 6 years. This video is 6 or 7 years old at this point, so a long time ago. But it's worst non-water floods in history, so I'm pretty sure that the Boston molasses one is going to be in here. Other than that, don't know. Other than that, I simply don't know. Well, if you want to find out with me, let's begin. If you want to see more salmonella stuff, absolutely. I've mostly seen more recent stuff of his. So I know there's a bunch that he's done for years and years, obviously, that there's just a wealth of Salmonella University stuff that I didn't see. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's find out what other, besides the Boston one, let's find out what the worst non-water floods in history were.
This episode of Salmonella Academy is brought to you by Skillshare.
Academy. Oh, you know what it was? It's Salmonella Academy. It's Puppet University. That's where I got confused.
Hey kids, if you've been on Earth for any amount of time, you should know that this place is pretty wet and wild. With water just falling from the sky whenever it feels like it, it's no surprise that floods are among nature's most common means of wrecking humanity's hard work. However, not every flood has been made out of plain old H2O. Today,
what the fuck? Oh no. I watched that show, not
humanity's
gonna lie.
hard work. However, not every flood has been made out of plain old H2O.
I did watch this show. I did like this show. I was a little too old for it, and I did spend some time kind of cringing at some of the acting. But I enjoyed the premise of the show immensely, and so I did muscle through some truly bad acting. Sorry, no offense if that there was certain times where it was just bad, but the show itself was really good.
Today, we're going to talk about some of the few non-water liquid disasters that mankind has endured. January 15th, 1919 was a particularly warm day for Boston, at around 40 degrees Fahrenheit, well above the freezing temperatures of the past week. Yep. Men wore their hats a little less snugly, children huddled about the fire a little less closely, and a metal tank containing 2.3 million gallons of molasses decided to collapse. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sam, I've never even held a molasses before. I didn't know there was 2.3 million gallons of it in the world. What was that much molasses doing in one place? Well, young grasshopper, as with most things, the answer is alcohol. As the cylinder came tumbling down, it unleashed a delicious brown tsunami that was 25 feet high at its peak. Also, forget everything you know about idioms, because the waves were reported to have moved as fast as 35 miles per hour. That means you're slower than molasses. Nerd. Add that to the fact that molasses is way more dense than water, and you've got a recipe for some major destruction. Eyewitness accounts of the event describe houses being swept off their foundation and subsequently demolished. The level of damage was comparable to a tornado sweeping through, its path of devastation stretching a half-mile long. Here's a picture of, something. I can't tell what it was supposed to be. All I know is that molasses clearly does not play. That's
not at all.
A truck was picked up and chucked into the harbor. A train
I love the molasses. Get out of here, truck.
Car got knocked off its tracks, and a bunch of dogs and horses just straight up drowned. Oh, and some people too. Around 150 were injured and 21 were killed in the disaster. Talk about the sweet release of death, am I right? Ha ha.
If you want to hear a very fun song about this, check out the Puppet History on I think it's on Watcher. But there's a fun song about it. I know we make fun of Watcher now for doing that very poorly planned we're a streaming service now, blah blah thing, but that doesn't mean that some of their stuff isn't still quite good. And so they have really good episode about this event, which is the reason I know about this event.
The reasons these numbers were so high were that A, once you're stuck in something that thick and sticky, you're kind of fucked unless 3 guys with a rope happen to show up. And B, the affected area was so large that 3 guys with a rope would have no way to get to you without getting trapped themselves. Yeah. As a result, rescuers had to wait several days before the molasses either sufficiently drained out of an area or hardened up enough in the sun and the cold so that it could be walked on without sinking in.
That's terrifying.
After the incident, cleanup was carried out primarily by blasting the streets with salt water, which took many weeks and stained the waters of the Boston Harbor brown for months. Naturally,
Dang.
all the rescue workers and cleanup crew ended up getting molasses all over them,
Oof.
which led to them getting the stuff all over payphones, subway cars, door handles, you name it. It's said that for decades afterwards, residents could still catch a whiff of molasses outside during
I
the
bet.
summer months, and Boston remains one of Forbes' top 10 stickiest places to this day. Our next tale took place on the evening of June 18th, 1875.
What else? I was like, freaking jokes. Golden Corral, any of them. Atlantic City, New Jersey. Nevada. Where's Vegas? I feel like Vegas Strip should be on there somewhere. The Gamer Gunk Factory, the Chuck E. Cheese Ball Pit in Sacramento, California specifically. Danny DeVito's navel. Ew. R/Gruel. Danny Trejo's navel. Ew. All these navels. Ugh. Boston, Massachusetts, and Walla Walla, Washington. I mean, I feel like they're like a purgatory, the porn club or whatever. The strip club? It's a strip club. Any strip club should be enlisted in this.
Places to this day. Our next tale took place on the evening of June 18th, 1875 in Dublin. A fire had been raging across several blocks of the city for many hours prior, and like many of us do after a long hard day of wreaking havoc,
There's one that happened fairly recently that wasn't terribly destructive, I guess, but it was a wine one. And the wine just went through the whole street, and like it was in the water, and like you'd open the water tap and the wine would pour out. In Italy.
The fire decided to mosey on over to the malt house for a much needed drink. Around 5,000 barrels of whiskey and other social lubricants subsequently burst from the heat, sending a cascade of what is essentially liquid fuel careening out into the street, carrying the inferno on its back wherever it went. Now, normally you think people would just run away from the impending danger, but being that this is Ireland, the crowds of people had a better idea. They said, hey, fellow upstanding citizens, why don't we band together and help with the cleanup efforts? So they decided to dispose of the river of beverage running through their neighborhood by hiding it safely away in their stomachs. Some people drank directly from the street, while the classier among them were seen taking off their nasty sweat-filled boots, filling them up, and just gulping away.
Worse!
Keep in mind, while today's version is flavored primarily with cinnamon, this Fireball whiskey contained a special blend of spices including ash, street filth, tiny shards of glass and wood, and whatever else you could imagine. But hey, free drinks are free drinks. In the end, 13 people perished as a result of this incident. Was it from the fire? Nope. Smoke inhalation?
It's from drinking
Drowning?
the whiskey.
Still no. Unfortunately, though they did boot, and they did rally, they forgot to do both at once. As a result, all 13 deaths were actually from alcohol poisoning caused by chugging too much runaway liquor. So let this be a lesson, kids. Don't drink street booze. You have no idea where it's been.
Yeah. I mean, one of the only places you'll find it these days in America is New Orleans, but still, don't do it.
Just go to a dispensary instead. Moving along, here's another potation inundation, this time on the other aisle. 1814 London was a rapidly growing metropolis, and like all metropolises, it had its fair share of densely populated slums, one of which was St. Giles Rookery. And what better place is there to build a brewery than amongst the impoverished?
It's always alcohol,
Unfortunately,
ain't it?
said brewery apparently got cocky and decided to skimp out on their iron rings that hold up the big beer things budget, leading to one of the vats completely collapsing and knocking over all the others with it.
Good!
In total, around 323,000 imperial gallons, or 1.5 million liters of beer were unleashed that day. The flood of ale pushed over the wall of the brewery with the same ease that Jared Kushner pushes old ladies down escalators, gushing out into the streets and totally demolishing multiple homes situated nearby. Good morning, America. I'm reporter Pat Lauer. No relation, don't worry. We're here at the scene of the world's biggest party foul. Ma'am, how does this whole thing make you feel? Ha, don't worry. This isn't the first time alcohol has torn my household apart. In all seriousness, my husband has struck me on multiple occasions. At least 8 people are known to have died as a result of the incident, either from drowning or from having their house dropped on them. In spite of this, nobody was held responsible for the disaster, with courts concluding that the collapse was an act of God.
It was an act of greedy businessmen, more alike. Because that's usually what happens when safety regulations are not met. It's because the big wigs up at the top didn't want to pay for it. And then, you know what? Who gets fucked? The poor people. That's who. Always, every time, still.
I wish people were that lenient with act of God clauses today, like, all right, here's your coffee, ma'am. Whoops. Jesus Christ, it burns! Yes. That was Jesus Christ who did that. You motherfucker, my legs are fusing together. Hey, God works in mysterious ways. Maybe you were supposed to be a mermaid, who knows? So I hope the knowledge of these events will serve to empower you in your life going forward. If you find one of your friends trapped in molasses, now you'll say, don't worry, I'll save you. In a couple days. If your street is ever flooded with hard liquor, you'll say, oh boy, time to start chugging.
Glug, glug.
In moderation, of course. But why stop there when you can learn a lifetime of practical wisdom with Skillshare.com? Skillshare is an online
People did drink
community with
the
over
street wine, I
22,000
think, in
classes
Italy.
in technology.
I'll tell you about that. I want to show you about the street wine thing. See, look. Look at that. A river of red wine. 2 million liters of red wine. Portuguese, not Italy. I was wrong about it was Portugal. Look at that, though.
Só pode ter sido ao mar. Foi até rebentou.
Isn't that crazy?
Aqui está.
2.2 million liters cascaded down the streets of São Lourenço. Ah, hey. Go back.
Aquilo que dia se esperava veio a acontecer. O resultado de Sr. Elvira.
It didn't go back, did it?
Vejam só. Epa.
2.2 million liters cascaded down the streets of São Lourenço do Bairro in central Portugal.
Isto realmente. Aquilo que dia se esperava veio a acontecer. Okay.
Lavera Distillery has apologized for the leak, which flooded the basement of one home. I wanted, there was one part where somebody like opened their tap and it was coming out of there. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, so what it was the wine flood was in Portugal. The wine out of the tap was in Italy. So, yes. And it wasn't just any old wine, but a red Lambrusco. A winery is connected to the water system in the Castelvetro di Modena. Due to a malfunction, the wine started flowing in the other direction. The local council issued an apology for the issue on Facebook. Some residents complained that it was fixed too quickly. Me. It was me. Anyway, so that was 2 different incidents. So I just got them, mixed up is what I did. It's fine. And then if you want to go on Salmonella's thing and see if Skillshare is still, if that link is still working, then you can go ahead and do that. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you some of those other floods that I knew about, and I didn't realize they weren't the same one, but the fact that I remembered them both, I think you should give me some credit for, because I love taking credit for things. So don't tell anybody. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to check out some of our other videos. We've got lots of history stuff. We have lots of technology, science, animal, we have so much here. Go ahead and check some stuff out. Thanks.